with that, and I don't think that she would necessarily think, oh, it's just they're just being guys, you know. And so the act of actually having sex with someone else, in and of itself, regardless of who it's with, is kind of making this very difficult to accept. And so I don't know. I can't really say anymore that it's definitively that they're gay or straight. It's just that they are what they are. So, but you know, I don't think it's fair for them to be able to get away with it and say that they're sucking a guy's dick and yet that they are straight. How often could you do that? You know, and if you saw a video of them having sex with another man, would you still say they were straight just because they say so? No, I don't think so. So I think that, you know, as Kurt Cobain said in his song, All Apologies, you know, everyone is gay. I think everyone is a little gay, but I don't think everyone's a little straight. This is my opinion, you know, because I think, you know, almost everyone has a little bit of curiosity about sex, whether you're straight or gay. And as far as I'm concerned, I know that not everybody has a curiosity about heterosexual sex, but I think it's probably true in the reverse as well. But anyway, okay. So the other thing I want to discuss was I talked about this a little bit on the Gay XYZ show last week with Christopher and with Jason, and it's about PrEP. PrEP it stands for pre-exposure prophylaxis, and prophylaxis, and it's basically a lot of people haven't heard about this, and I was surprised they hadn't heard about it. And the reason is it's important for the gay community to know about this is because it can save your life, and it's very new, but it's been tested in the past 5 years in a very big sample test. So it's been proven to be effective. So I think it's important that, as my little service announcement, since a lot of people who listen to my show, or the majority, are gay, you should know a little bit about PrEP. And now I'm in a monogamous relationship with my husband, and you know, we've been together for, I guess, 8 years now, and it is not something that we use. I don't feel that's necessary because we're monogamous, and there's no way he's cheating on me or whatever. So it's not necessary in my relationship. But it is something, if you're dating and you're single, that you might be interested in knowing about. So just what is PrEP? What PrEP is, as I said, stands for pre-exposure prophylaxis. And it's a way for people who do not have HIV, but who are at risk of getting it, to prevent an HIV infection by taking a pill every day. So what it does is you take this pill, which is actually called Truvada, which actually was already an antiretroviral drug, I think, for treatment of people with HIV. They started testing it in people who were healthy without HIV as a way to see if it actually would prevent people from being infected with HIV. And it has been successful. The last studies a few months ago were that 92%, it's a 92% protection rate. And now the last study that they had was 100% of the people in the study remained HIV free after being on this drug and having unprotected sex. Some of them high risk, meaning with people who they didn't know, and having lots of sex that way, and with people who were in monogamous relationships or open relationships or whatever. So it did prove to be very effective. And so it's a great thing if you're single, or if you're in a relationship with someone, you have an open relationship, or if you're even if you're just dating people, whatever, for you to be able to protect yourself from getting HIV. And people often think, oh, HIV is not a big deal, it's just something you live with or whatever. And my generation, being as old as I am, I saw people who died from HIV towards the tail end of the major part of the epidemic, in the early 90s. I knew people that had died from it later. Excuse me. And so I think that it's, and I saw people, what they looked like and going through it, and before HIV meds came about in the 80s when I was very young, and how the toll it took on people's bodies. And it was a horrible thing. It was just a horrible, horrible thing. I mean, you can go and see and watch Longtime Companion to see what that was like. And the band played on. And also, of course, the The Normal Heart, of course, is probably the ideal movie to watch if you haven't seen it before. It's on HBO or whatever. You can rent it. Anyway, it was a very horrible time in society and in this world, especially for the gay community who was being completely ignored. So now that we have a drug that will essentially prevent you from having it, you have to remember that HIV is a chronic condition, and it's not like it just like having diabetes or anything like that. It's worse than that, and it will kill you very, very easily if you don't have medication to keep it at bay. So it's not something you want to get, is my point. And there are actual people who are what are called bug chasers, these gay guys who actually go out and want to get quote unquote breeded and want to be infected with HIV. I don't know why. I mean, there's different reasons why they say, but I mean, just some people who are really a little bit fucked up in the head. And so don't be one of those people who wants to get it. If you're having sex with people, then you can take a drug that will prevent you from getting HIV. For God's sakes, take it. Whether you're having safe sex or unprotected sex, condoms are not 100% effective all the time, and they break sometimes, and sometimes you can have microscopic holes in them and things like that, especially if you use an oil-based lube on a condom, I'm not a rubber condom, a latex condom. It can break it down, and you can still be infected with HIV even when you're using a condom. So you want to be sure that you're still protected in those cases. And so this is something you can take. You take it every day, and you have to have a follow-up visit every 3 months with your physician to make sure you're doing okay. It's not affecting your liver or anything else, as some of the side effects it can have on certain people. So my point is that this is something you should be aware of and definitely take. If you do not know about it, you're not aware of it. And people who are heterosexual, if you're listening to this show, you too can take this if you're worried about getting HIV. And a lot of heterosexual people think they are immune to getting HIV because they're straight, like HIV is a gay disease or something, which it isn't. So I think if you're a woman, especially who has a lot of unprotected sex with men, or if you're a drug user, or hang around people who are, or have sex with people who are, then this is something you should definitely think about. Now, the problem with this has been, though, that the healthcare, the health insurance industry has been very, very, very caustic and mean about this to people. So they give PrEP and cover PrEP to most of them cover PrEP for people who have HIV no matter what. Some don't cover PrEP at all, regardless of whether you have HIV or not. However, the majority do cover it if you have HIV. Now, the problem has been, since this is a new drug that's being utilized in this fashion, since only for about the past year and a half or 2 years now, publicly, it has been the healthcare people or insurance companies have denied many people, many men specifically, whom have applied to get this through their doctor. And their doctors are saying no, or not the doctor. Sometimes the doctors are saying no. Some doctors will refuse to prescribe it because they say, "Oh, we only prescribe this to people who have HIV." And the drug companies are saying the same thing, and they won't even cover it unless you have HIV. And the reason is they're essentially slut shaming people, saying that they think that just because you're taking this drug, you're just a slut and you just want to have sex, without condoms or protection or whatever. And therefore you are not entitled to it, which is completely against the point and anti-productive. I mean, if you're trying to prevent people from having HIV, then and without giving them the drug that will allow them to protect themselves from getting it, and you prevent them from getting it, they're going to end up getting it because they're still going to have sex. So it's just really stupid. So a lot of slut shaming has been going on as a result of this drug, and it's unfortunate because I think it is something that really can save lives. So if you're interested in getting your hands on Truvada or PrEP, as it's called, you can see your doctor. And don't be shy, don't be embarrassed. Just go to your doctor and ask for what needs to happen for you to get on PrEP if you are someone you feel needs to be on this drug. And even people who don't, I'm sorry, if I were single, I would be on PrEP because I would be having sex. I would be having sex, and I wouldn't be having unprotected sex, but I still would want to protect myself. And this was not something that was available when I was single. So it's something that, to me, of course, it does have, by the way, of course, there are some people do, of course, have side effects from this drug, meaning some people initially have diarrhea, and some people have cramps and things like that initially, and some people have liver issues. But it's only a small minority of people who do. Every drug has side effects, and so it's dependent upon how your body would react to it. And this is why it's very important that if you do get on this drug, that you see your doctor for follow-up visits every 3 months, so they can keep a look on your liver and your blood work and everything else for the first year and make sure that you're tolerating the drug okay. But the question is whether it's a balance of whether you can live with the side effects that you may or may not have versus possibly getting HIV. And the thing about HIV is once you have it, it's never going to go away until they come up with a cure, which is unlikely. They're probably just going to come up with a vaccine. So you're going to prevent yourself from ever getting it, which is the best prevention, of course, that there could be. So I hope that you take my advice. If you're single, especially you're young, I don't care how long you've been in a relationship or anything else. If you're having unprotected sex, especially, definitely get on PrEP. If you're having protected sex, definitely think about getting on PrEP. And if you have been in a relationship for a long time, long enough, then I think it's up to you and your partner whether you think it's necessary, depending on your relationship rules, whether you can have sex with other people or whether you're monogamous. So it just depends on that. So think about it. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is East Siders. Now, this is a really good show. It's been out for a couple of years now, but they just released their new season, their second season this year, a month ago. And my friends had told me about it, or a couple of my friends had mentioned it to me, and I had not seen it yet. I don't know. I just didn't have time to look at it until recently. And so last night I watched the first season. I love the show. It's a really well-written show. It's a very high-quality show. It could totally be on, network television if somebody would pick it up, which they never will because it's gay people. But anyway, or HBO or Showtime or something like that. It's like Looking, but it's better than Looking in my opinion. But anyway, it's basically revolves around these two gay guys who have been in a relationship for 4 years, and one of them cheats on the other one, and then all hell ensues. And it's also about their friends who are a heterosexual couple, and then their other gay friends. It's just a really good show. And the mother of one of the guys is Tracy Lords. She's played by Tracy Lords. And she actually did really well. I mean, I actually think she's a decent actress. I saw her in Melrose Place and everything in the 90s, If you don't know who Tracy Lords is, she's probably the most famous female porn star in history in America. So she hasn't been in porn for a long time, but she's been, she has a legitimate acting career as well since then. And she tried to break through, and she did. And she's not like a huge, A-list actress or anything, but she's very well known. Anyway, so the show's really, really good. You can get it on Vimeo. If you don't have Vimeo, you can get it online. Vimeo has a site you can watch it online if you want to. If you have an Apple TV, it's on there as one of the little icons. You can click on there and subscribe to there. It's free to get the app or use the app. And then you pay for shows you want to watch. You can either stream them or you can download and buy them. And I streamed this show, and it was $3 for the first season and $11 for the second season. Only the first 3 episodes of the second season are available now. The rest of the season will be available after next month, they said. And the $11 pays for all of the entire season. Anyway, it's a good show. Watch it. I love it. It's very real. There's some very big emotional parts of the show where you really get emotionally attached to these characters. At least I have. And you really feel what they're going through. And I definitely have been identified with some of the things they've gone through, some of the characters in the show. And so I think you can watch the show and really learn some things about relationships. If you don't have one, or if you're in a new one, this is definitely a good show that shows the reality of the difficulties of relationships, not just the cheating part or whatever. I mean, like the whole thing, just the nuances. It's hard to explain unless you're in a relationship to really know what I'm talking about for a long time. But it is a very great education on the reality of relationships, both the straight ones, the gay ones that are in the show and everything. It's just great. And plus, you really care about the characters, and it's really well written. And all the characters are played by people who actually are gay. The gay guys in the show are gay. And one of the two main characters actually writes the show. He's the writer and the producer and the director of the show, one of the producers of the show. So It's a really good show. Check it out if you haven't seen it. As I said, you can get it on Vimeo, and you can